okay? And I'll try again to maybe to text him, so.
Okay. So we'll go through the documents that I sent out last night. And for anybody public watching, we do have these 4 documents posted on the Division 2 webpage at this time. So I'm going to let Andrea share her screen. And we'll probably start with the budget tracking document to start. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do a whole lot with it today, but I just want to at least familiarize everybody with this. As you know, just because we're going to update it moving forward each day this week, but at least show everyone where we're starting with Monday, today. So this here is kind of breaking up House Bill 1 for the most part to start, House Bill 2 sections in the middle, and then down below, just for everyone's understanding, I compiled everything that we've done to this point. So this is what I was referring to at the end of last week as far as trying to gather everybody's proposed amendments to funding areas, House Bill 1 or 2, just to kind of put a tracking sheet together for the division so we can work off of each day. So I'll run through them very quickly. Representative Heath is going to want to discuss an amendment adding some positions to the Department of Safety. The next one down is we had talked about as a committee to reduce winter maintenance. And this would be the amount needed in DOT's budget to balance the highway fund for the state. The next set kind of go together, those 3 lines for DOE relative to school building aid. We had that discussion with the department this morning as far as how much the top 3 projects get. And I broke it out just so you can see depending on, you know, which direction the committee goes, if any. We also talked about fully funding special education aid. These amounts here represent the current law. 3.5% is when it kicks in for the cost of a student. With an estimate, I worked with the department to project out what those costs may be. So adding about $5.5 million over the biennium to that line should fully fund the CAD aid, or formerly known as CAD aid program at DOE. And then the next House Bill 1. These are just
Mickey, hold on just a second. Is that just for 3.5, or is that for?
This is just 3.5. So this is the current law program. So if you wanted to change it to 2.5, I think the department had suggested closer to $10 million a year.
An additional 10 million.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then the last straight up House Bill 1 quote amendment, we'll call it at this point, is to flat fund the university system and community college system at their 2011 levels. I also sent, and Andrea, maybe you could switch over to the HB1 amendment packet.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Did you say 2011 or 2021?
21, I'm sorry. If I said 11, I meant 21. Sorry about that. So this other document that I sent you, the HB1 amendment packet, this is just the detail behind some of those lines. So for instance, that first line that we had on that summary page there had the 3 Department of Safety positions, lab positions. This is the detail behind it. This is what you'd see actually entered in the budget in the personnel salary line. They've got positions in 3 different areas, if you recall, when we went through the Department of Safety's budget. So if you want to stay high level, that first document, we'll have that. If you want the real detail behind some of these changes, I did send a House Bill 1 amendment packet as well. So it's kind of 2 documents that work, that, you know, one's the more detailed version of the same stuff. Andrea, if you want to scroll down this one, you can see kind of what I'm talking about. You'll see the winter maintenance amendment is the next one. And then further, you'll see like the USNH and CCSNH. So this is, when we get into the details and you start voting on some changes as we move forward, we'll probably be working off of these more detailed sheets, just so it's clear what the action is made by the division. Representative Umber, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the plan is to do anything with House Bill 1 today.
That's correct.
Okay, so this is really just informational for everyone today. I'll update these sheets again tonight for tomorrow's work session, then again Tuesday night for Wednesday. So if there's things you want added, if there's things you decide you want to withdraw, and you know, something that you've put on here, just let me know and I'll update these sheets so we can stay focused with our work as we progress through the week. So back to the budget tracking document, Andrea. Thank you. Now, there's also going to be some spending impacts related to some House Bill 2 amendments. And we'll get to the House Bill 2 tracking document here shortly, but I'll just go through a couple of them. So the first one is the dual and concurrent enrollment. Representative Heath has an amendment to appropriate $1.5 million per year for that program with CCSNH. The next is relative to the CCSNH, USNH unification plan. They had said that they could use $1.5 million estimated for some external support and the work that they were going to do for the, proposing some legislation relative to that plan. We don't have an amendment for that yet. That's still in drafting. We're still kind of working through any amendment relative to those sections. The commission to recommend an entity to receive police misconduct complaints. Current in the governor's budget, there was $500,000 set aside for that entity in fiscal 23. This would be an amendment to essentially reduce that to $100,000. Division 1 zeroed out that budget because it was in the Department of Administrative Services. This would provide a $100,000 placeholder, so to speak, for whatever that commission proposes for the next legislative session to consider. On line 11, Representative Heath has an amendment to provide funding for the IRC, UNH, the Innovation and Research Center. This is the funding level in the current budget, $275,000 a year. We may need to true something up here or slightly edit it because I believe Division 1 did put $50,000 in there for the biennium. So we'll confirm with Representative Heath if she wants to do $275,000 per year in addition to whatever Division 1 does, or just make sure between the divisions we set the amount that she'd like. And then the last House Bill 2 impact that I have is
Mickey, before you go on, where is that funding in the budget? Is that in Division 1?
It is. It's a line item in Division 1's budget. So this would be somewhat crossing over divisions to do this. So Division 1 has made their recommendation on how much to fund the IRC. It's up to Representative Heath if she wants to move forward with this or just rely on that recommendation. But that's something we can discuss perhaps when she's with us for the next work session.
Yeah, my concern on that, I'm not opposed to this amendment, but my concern is that I don't think that we should do anything that affects another division's budget. That's my take on it. So anyhow, I'll just leave it at that.
It relates to the university system, but you're right in that it flows through the Department of Business and Economic Affairs budget, which is a Division 1 responsibility. And the last amendment here, and this is still in drafting, relative to the Public School Infrastructure Fund. There's an amendment to reduce that from $30 million over the biennium down to essentially $1 million, $500,000 a year, which would free up $29 million of education trust fund. I should have ETF on there, and I'll update that for tomorrow's sheet. That's not a general fund situation. Down below is just a summary of items we've already approved. Most of it was there's no general funds here, no education trust funds. These were the kind of those budget technical defect type amendments that agencies asked for that we've approved at past work sessions. And I've put a total down at the bottom, and I'll track this daily just so the division knows what we've done to through each day. So I don't have anything more to add on these two documents that we just covered. I just wanted to familiarize everyone with them. So if you have questions or anything moving forward, hopefully we understand kind of what I'm trying to put here for you guys.
Let me just make a couple comments on the reduction in the Public School Infrastructure Fund. I don't know whether the 500,000 is the right number. This morning they were talking about needing about $1 million in there. So, you know, that number is pretty fluid. But what I was looking at, using this money to fund things like dual and concurrent enrollment. The money for the support for the study. The money for, no, not that. Additional money for, boy, my mind is crazy. If we decide that we want to reduce the tail, that would come out of this 29 million. And, it's basically all things that deal with like, the increase for special ed, all of those kinds of things. Because I think that we have some other shortfalls in the Education Trust Fund that are probably, I don't want to say, from my perspective, more important than funding this, the Public School Infrastructure Fund. That's just my take on it. So I wanted to let you know why that amendment went in, that we're not, I'm not belittling, I guess, the Public School Infrastructure Fund people, but I do think that there are better uses of that money overall. So, Marjorie, I see you have a question.
I just wanted to also just interject here that some of that federal money can indeed be used for these projects that people have on the list. So that would seem like a wise decision to me.
Thank you. Joe, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Could you, what was the original intent of this infrastructure, school infrastructure fund?
You're muted, Representative.
I'm working on two computers and trying to think at the same time. The original purpose of this, when it was formed, was to provide internet connectivity and safety money for the schools. And this occurred, I want to say it was after the Florida school incident, where there were several children killed. And what the governor wanted to do was to provide money to the schools to improve security. And I think that Caitlin said this morning that we had, was it 20 million, Mickey?
At some point, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I think it was
total.
closer to 30 over the
Okay.
life of that fund, yeah.
Yeah. And they said this morning that all of that money had been spent, or obligated, I guess is the right term. So they did in fact use it for the purpose that it was allocated. And I sat on that committee for 2 years, I guess, maybe, I don't know, some amount of time. And we were very careful in how we allocated it and made sure that it went to the projects that the that were set in law. So.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, does anyone have any other questions on this page? Okay, I don't see any. So if we could go on, Mickey?
Sure. So that House Bill 2 section that we just went through with all those amendments. So if we go to the House Bill 2 tracking sheet now, those will also be on here. So it's a little bit, that's kind of the nature of House Bill 2 is we have to change House Bill 2, but we also have to reflect any budgetary impacts, to the bottom line. We carry it on the surplus statement. So anyways, you should remember this document or something similar to it last week. I've updated it with the decisions that we've made to this point. So some of the sections in House Bill 2 assigned to us, we've already taken care of. So if we jump down to House Bill 2, page 22, section 44, we accepted that as it's in the governor's recommended budget, no change. The next section would be relative to education funding. I think at that point that this is probably on hold. I don't think I have no amendments relative to these sections for the division's consideration. From the conversation this morning, I think there's still some discussions to be had on education funding.
Oh, yes, along with Representatives Lynn's nuclear attack that he provided.
Yeah, that's very true. The next section is kind of that technical section relative to the tobacco settlement funds. And if you recall, we amended it to open up the uses of the education trust fund to line up with what we're actually spending in the budget. So we adopted amendment 0693H at a previous work session. Public school infrastructure would be the next set of sections in House Bill 2. There is an amendment that's relative, that includes that $14.5 million reduction per year that we just discussed. That amendment, as of the time that I put this together, was still in drafting. I have received it from OLS and I just needed to review it. So when I update this for tomorrow and send everyone their documents, we'll have an amendment for those sections. The crisis intervention team training and the bears, we'll call it just the bears sections. We dealt with those at a previous work session. The next set of sections is relative to CCSNH and USNH. There is an amendment in drafting that Representative Turcotte's been working on. We do not have that, but we will have that for tomorrow. So I believe the plan is to have a work session relative to those sections tomorrow at 10. Correct me if I'm wrong, Representative Umberger.
No, that's correct.
Okay. The next section, page 61, section 133. So we have an amendment for this, and I think this is one that we could probably deal with today if the division wanted to. So if you recall, this is relative to the Department of Transportation's ability to seek reimbursement or liability for damage done to highway or fixtures or roadways. So one thing that the Judiciary Committee had concerns with was that in House Bill 2, there's a section that allows for this law to be applied retrospectively. So if you go to the House Bill 2 amendments, Andrea, Representative Umberger has an amendment here, 0895H, that would essentially just delete that section, paragraph 3, relative to that law being retrospective. And that's really all I have to say on that. That's kind of where we're at. It was that very first one, Andrea, page 1.
Is there anyone that has a problem voting on this today? Okay, seeing none. Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, and so this is voting to approve amendment 2021-0895H. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. I just want to make a note of this.
Madam Chair, do you need a motion for that?
Yeah. Oh, I guess we do. Thank you, Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping me straight, Representative Petrie.
Not a problem.
All right. All right. So the motion is made by Representative Umberger, seconded by Representative Lynn, and I'll call the roll. Yeah. All right. Where are we here? Okay. Representative Petrie.
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Representative Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Murray.
Murray votes yes.
And Representative Umberger. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Turcotte is here. Representative Turcotte.
Sorry for the delay. I was in our weekly meeting. I vote yes.
All right, and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, the vote is 7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you. So, well, we got one thing done. Mickey, what's next?
So the next section is on page 61 of your House Bill 2s. And I believe everyone, I know we've got Representative Ellison and, well, I think Representative Ellison's our new sub for today. I think I sent you a House Bill 2 link, so I hope you're able to understand where we are with this. Do you have any questions, Representative?
I don't. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay. So the next section is sections 135 and 136, and this was relative to federally funded real estate that DOT sells, just making it clear where the disposition of revenue relative to those parcels goes. I believe that Public Works and Highways Committee chimed in on this and was good with it, and there's no House Bill 1 impact to this, so I think the committee could move on with this if there's no other concerns.
Is there anyone that has a problem voting on this today? Seeing none, could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mickey, what was the amendment number again?
There's actually no amendment number for this one. We'll just be accepting it as it is in House Bill 2.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, do you have a shorthand title for how I should phrase this? Acceptance of
I think
acceptance of disposal of federal funds?
it could just be accept sections 135 and 136.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Go ahead and call the roll.
All right, I'm sorry, motion moved by Petrie, seconded by,
We don't need a motion on this.
oh, we don't, oh, all right, sorry.
All we're
Okay.
doing is accepting what was put forth by the governor.
Okay, all right, Representative Petrie.
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Representative Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison.
Representative Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray.
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott.
Turcott votes yes.
And Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, again, 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, thank you. Mickey, the next one?
Okay, similarly, sections 137 to 139 do not have a direct state fund impact in the budget. And these sections were also cleared with the chair of the Transportation Committee, I believe, and they reviewed it and did not have any concerns with these clarifications put forward in House Bill 2.
Is there anyone that has a problem voting on this today? Representative Porter, go ahead.
I don't have a problem. I'm just curious why this wasn't done in a piece of legislation. Is there any rationale for that? If it's just definitions?
Yeah, I think that what happened is that DOT gave this to the governor as something that needed to be updated. And so he did. But it is, I can't answer why there wasn't any legislation on it. Oftentimes, there are things that fall into HB2 that have not gone through the, things like this. So that's all I can say. I don't know.
Sometimes too, Representative, it's a timing thing. So legislative filing may pass, but the governor's budget doesn't come out till the second week of February. So sometimes agencies will seek to see if the governor will support putting something into the trailer bill.
It's just that I seem to be remembering long debates on the floor having to do with unmanned spacecraft or aircraft before, and I was just curious. Thank you.
I think all this is just a definition update. It's not anything else that would affect, like, I know we've had discussions on the floor about unmanned aircraft spying on you and doing all that stuff. None of that is in this section at all. Okay, Representative Lynn, seeing nothing, nobody saying no, let us vote to accept sections 137 through 139.
All right, thank you. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison,
Representative Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, it's a vote of 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, Mickey, if you would continue, please.
Sure, the next sections are sections 140 and 141, which are relative to an appropriation, a general fund appropriation from a few years back that still has remaining unspent dollars that the governor's budget recommended lapsing those dollars into the highway fund as a way of helping balance the highway fund budget for the next 2 years. So this is $8.1 million that is essentially treated as addition or income to the highway fund as we're balancing it for the next 2 years. So without this section, you'd essentially create an $8.1 million deficit in the highway fund.
Is there anyone that has a problem voting on this today? Seeing none, we will vote to accept sections 140 through 141. And Representative Lynn, if you would call the roll, please.
Certainly. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison,
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Turcott votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, again, it's a vote of 7-0 in the affirmative, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Mickey, if you'd like to continue, please.
Sure. Section 144 is relative to the Department of Safety's authorized transfers. In House Bill 2 currently and the previous House Bill 2, I believe you have a question, Representative. Sorry, I don't want to.
Go ahead, Representative Porter.
It was just a silly comment, Madam Chair. I was going to say if we keep this up, they might accuse us of being bipartisan in this division. Keep up with all these 7-0 votes, but I'll put my hand down now and be quiet.
That's the way it should be, okay? We can all take credit for being bipartisan. How's that? Okay, Mickey, go ahead.
So this section is relative to Department of Safety's authorized transfers. Currently, under the current budget and in House Bill 2 as recommended out of the governor, it allows the department with the Department of Administrative Services Budget Office approval to move some money within some class lines that are otherwise restricted by law. There's no budget impact to that. It just provides the department some flexibility in moving money around. This amendment adds on to this. And if you recall, there was a discussion when we had the department with us to grant them authority for the biennium only to move money around to fill positions that are currently unfunded. So for instance, if they have a funded, because positions in the budget have money tied to them. So for instance, if they have a program specialist 2 that's funded and a program specialist 4 that's not funded, they could move money between those positions and fill the one that they would like to hire for. There's at least 2 other agencies that have this authority in House Bill 2 now, I believe Department of Information Technology and Corrections, if I'm not mistaken. So this was something that the department had asked for. Thank you, Andrea. And there's really no direct budget impact to this. It just provides flexibility to them.
Okay, this is the, in the amendments to HB2, it's the second one.
Correct. Amendment 0686H.
Yeah.
The second page on that, the amendment packet.
Mhm. So this was, we had discussed this, and I think that basically we were all in agreement. So is there anyone that objects to us voting on this today? Okay, seeing none, could I have a motion to accept amendment 0686, please?
Turcott
So
makes
moved.
the motion to accept 0686H as amended.
I'll second.
Thank you. Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison,
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, so again, vote of 7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you very much. Mickey, would you continue?
Sure. The next amendment that we have is 0921H, which is part of the, I think the word we've been using is entanglement between the dashboard camera fund and the commission to provide recommendations to study an entity relative to law enforcement misconduct. So we're going to carve these two programs out separately into two different amendments. The first is 0921 proposed by Representative Heath that essentially does what the underlying House Bill 2 does. However, it does allow for the Department of Safety to fund a position from this $1 million appropriation for the dashboard camera fund. So if you look on lines 14 through 16, you see where it provides permission for the department to utilize the fund to pay for a business administrator position, which the department had asked for to process this program.
Mickey, do you know if this is the lesser of the two costs? Because safety did tell us they could use a lower cost person, and I'm not sure which this is.
I don't know that answer. I can check in with Steve at the department if you'd like, but this, when I asked him for the details of the position they want, this is what he had given me, was the business administrator 1 position.
Okay, well, I guess they can make a different decision, right?
The way it's written now, I mean, the bill, this amendment is pretty specific to a business administrator 1 position, but it's the one they selected. So if they wanted to change their mind later and do a lesser position or a greater position, as far as labor grade, they wouldn't be able to without reclassifying that position through personnel.
Yeah, I think we better check on that before we proceed to a vote, just to make sure that we've got the right position.
I actually have Steve in the attendees now. I could
Oh, okay, yeah,
put him right on the spot and pull him right in and see.
Please.
If he wants to. All right. Hopefully he was listening.
Mr. Lavoy, are you there?
I am here.
Okay,
Yes.
Mickey has a question for you.
Steve, the business administrator one position, is this, can you provide us some context of this versus any other option for personnel to administer this program?
Yes, so we were originally requesting a program specialist 3 position, which is a higher labor grade. Went back and talked with our grants team, and we were able to reduce that position down to a business administrator 1, which is a lower labor grade. That's a labor grade 21. And so there is some cost savings by going with this classification as opposed to the original that we had talked about the first time.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So, Mickey, this authorizes this position to come out of the money that we've allocated and then the rest of it just straightens out and takes out all that other stuff, and we'll have a different amendment to add that back.
Correct. This amendment here is just specific to the dashboard camera fund, the body cam fund. And the other commission on the police misconduct will handle in a different amendment.
Okay, is there anyone that has a problem voting on this today? Seeing none, could I have a motion to?
Murray will move.
Second,
Very much. I have a second.
Petrie.
Okay. All right, Representative Lynn, when you're ready, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, and what is, it's amendment 0921H.
Correct.
Thank you. Representative Petrie.
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison.
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray.
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott.
Turcott votes yes.
And Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes. My pen ran out.
All right, so a vote of 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, Mickey, would you go ahead, please?
Sure. The next amendment is Amendment 0922H, which is relative to the commission to recommend the entity to receive the law enforcement misconduct complaints. So it's on page 5 of the amendment packet, starting with section 148. And this is where, when we string House Bill 2, these sections will still be near each other, but they will be separate and distinct. So the only changes here between what was proposed by the governor and the amendment is, if you go down to lines 15 through 17, the director of the Police Standards and Training Council and the Commissioner of Safety or their designees would be appointed to this commission. And that was something that was discussed in division, and that's what this amendment does. And then continuing down, scroll down for me, Andrea, thank you. There is an appropriation here of $100,000 in the fiscal year 23 to essentially be a set aside to provide funding for whatever the entity is that this commission comes up with. In the governor's recommended budget, there was over $500,000 set aside for this purpose in the administrative services budget. Division 1 will be taking all that money away, just blowing that budget away. This amendment here would put $100,000 aside for this entity. If you scroll down a little further, Andrea, section 150 on line 5 there is a contingency with that appropriation. So in the event that this commission, the work that the commission recommends, puts in a bill next session, if an entity is never established for whatever reason, this appropriation of $100,000 essentially just stays in the general fund. It wouldn't be made if there was no purpose for doing so. So other than that, that's all the amendment does.
Is there anyone that has a problem voting on this amendment today? Representative Lynn.
You know, I don't really have a problem in voting on it. The only question I had is, didn't we, when we had the discussion, wasn't there some question about, should we change the provision that talks about the 4 other members? It doesn't provide how they get appointed. And I thought that there was some discussion about wanting to change that, to say how those 4 people get appointed. I think it's up in the earlier part.
In line 18.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so this amendment doesn't change that. So it's still, I guess, subject to interpretation, and probably assume that it would be the Lee Act Commission itself who determines the members that would sit on this commission. I mean, if the committee wanted to work on this and do something different, I can change this and come back with a different amendment, or it's really up to the division.
You know, I just raised I mean, it's certainly not a deal breaker from my perspective, but I just wanted to raise the issue if anybody else thinks we should change it.
I don't think that's necessary because this is a outgrowth of the LEAC committee. And I am sure that this group will report back to the LEAC committee before any legislation is submitted. So I think, I don't really think it's necessary. I mean, that's just my feeling about it. Okay, does anyone have a problem with voting on this amendment? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve amendment 0922.
So moved.
So
by
moved.
Petrie.
That was Representative Petrie. And a second,
Turcott,
thank you. Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, certainly. Representative Petrie,
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison,
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Turcott votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, vote of 7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you. So let's go on, Mickey, if we could.
The next one is the final section that I think we can consider just accepting as it is in House Bill 2. So this was section 149 on page 65 relative to establishing the radio infrastructure procurement standards with Department of Safety and with admin services. We heard from the department as to the necessity of this, and there's no real line to point to in the budget that's relative to this section. And there's no amendments, so it's an up or down at this point.
Are there, is there anyone that has a problem if we vote on this at this time? Seeing none, could I have a motion to accept the Department of Safety radio infrastructure equipment purchases?
So moved. Representative Turcott.
Second?
Petrie seconds.
I guess we didn't need that. We just needed to say accept, excuse me. Okay, Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, certainly. Representative Petrie,
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison,
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, again, 7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, the state scholarship program, we decided to eliminate that, right, Mickey?
Correct. So we do have an amendment, Amendment 0907H, which essentially eliminates all of those changes to the state scholarship program, but adds one new provision and does a little bit of statutory housekeeping. So the new provision here, Andrea has highlighted, basically would allow for the College Tuition Savings Plan Advisory Commission, who currently oversees the Higher Education Endowment Trust Fund, the unique dollars, as well as the Governor's Scholarship Program. This would allow them to decide if they feel they would like to transfer money between those two funds for the programs they administer. There'd be no legislative required approval with this. It would essentially just allow that commission to manage the funds between the dollars between those two funds as they see fit. The next provision, and it's really the remainder of the bill, it was kind of observed that the Governor's Scholarship Program and the fund still resided in the Office of Strategic Initiative Statutes. So this amendment here just lifts the entire program right from that chapter and puts it over with the higher education scholarship section of law. So everything after here, there are no changes. It is literally a cut and paste just to reorganize the statute a little bit more in line with the current administration.
Representative Porter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mickey, can you just repeat what you just said about this last section? It just moves it from what to what?
So currently it's the Governor's Scholarship Program. When it was established, it was under the Governor's Office's Office of Strategic Initiatives.
Okay, yeah.
Last budget, it was moved to be under the administration of the Higher Education Scholarship Commission, but it never got moved in RSA. This amendment just moves it out of RSA to kind of a more appropriate place as far as who's truly administering that program. So it is a, statutory housekeeping, so to speak.
Thank you. And can I have one more question, Madam Chair?
Certainly, we can have all the questions we need.
Okay. I know there was some concern the other day, and we talked about this, of the possibility of one fund draining completely another fund if this was allowed. But I think we settled that it wouldn't happen. But I would like once again to just be assured that by doing this change, we're not going to have the unique funds all end up in the governor's funds or vice versa. Is there anybody who can do that for me?
This amendment would authorize all those decisions to be made by the Higher Education Endowment Scholarship Advisory Commission. I probably just butchered the name of it, but it would be up to them to decide how much money for each program. So if they voted to do what you're suggesting, this would give them the permission to do so, I guess. So there's nothing limiting that from happening.
Representative Murray?
Yeah, thank you. I guess, that was a big concern of mine, that one gets dumped into the other. Can you tell me what that would mean? And is there, should we consider a way to prevent that from happening? And my other question is, what are the sections that get eliminated? I think it starts on page, or it's on page 70, it's 162 until where? What's the end for that part? Thank you.
It'd be sections 160 through 168 that get overwritten by this amendment.
Is it 162 to 168?
160.
Oh, the whole thing
Yeah.
gets replaced by
This amendment.
the amendment. Okay, thank you. And can you speak to, I worry about, something nefarious about taking all the money from one to the other.
I'll defer to Representative Umberger to speak more on this idea, but I think it's in the context of, at this time, Division I has recommended not appropriating any additional funds for the governor's scholarship program. And this amendment would at least give flexibility to that commission should they want to allocate any of their current funding source to the other program. But I'll defer to Representative Umberger to speak further.
No, that's exactly right, Mickey. And there is currently money in the governor's scholarship program that has not been spent. And I mean, if, you know, I personally trust this commission to do the right thing and to make sure that the money is dispersed, because even though both scholarship things are really pretty much the same. There's not a big difference between what Unique does and what the governor's scholarship does. It was primarily the governor wanted at the time to show that he cared about the cost of education. So that's my take on it. Representative Lynn?
Yes, the only question I had, Madam Chair, is, am I understanding correctly, Mickey, that this change that we're talking about voting on now does not have anything, well, I shouldn't say doesn't have anything to do with, but this does not, by approving this, we're not approving the proposal for the loan forgiveness. Is that correct?
Yeah, what this amendment is effectively doing is eliminating that proposal. So this is overwriting everything the governor recommended in these sections with only what you see in this amendment. So it's effectively a delete and an add, but just kind of done in one action. So that's the student loan debt relief program administered with the BFA, that would be out of the recommendation from Division II with this amendment.
Okay.
Representative.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just respond to Representative Lynn a second. What is that called? SLLR? Is that the program where they're giving money to nurses?
The student loan repayment. Yeah.
Pardon?
Student loan repayment program or something it's called.
Yeah. And there's, as I understand it, there's still money in there. And so that would continue. That workforce initiative would continue. This doesn't do anything to change that, but this just says that we're not going to, and I guess there's probably money left in the dollars that were initially put out for regenerative stuff.
Yeah, so the proposal to direct some of the unique dollars to that program, all that would come out. That would be replaced with this amendment.
But from a previous program, I understand there's also some dollars left in there.
I'm not familiar with that other program enough to know. I think that's something that's tied to Division III, and I think it's something they look at. But
Well, I think it was in Division I.
there may be one. Okay.
Okay. Because it, I don't know which. Anyhow, Representative Porter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I admit that I don't understand completely how this, is it 729? Is that the number that you use to discuss this? But there's an endowment and then there's money for scholarships. So this wouldn't change anything to having to do with the endowment, just the money for scholarships in that portion of the unique scholarship program. Is that right?
The Higher Education Commission, or whatever they're called, voted last year to change the percentage that goes to scholarships
Right.
and the percentage that goes to endowment.
Right.
It used to be 80-20 endowment to scholarships. Now it is 70 to scholarships and 30 to endowment.
Right. Thank you.
Representative Murray?
Thank you. We can go back to SLRP for a minute. Where is that program, and is that program still funded?
All I know is it still has money, but where it is, I have no clue.
Where does the money come from?
I believe the legislature put money in the program when we were, I mean, not that it's changed any, but we're having a lot of trouble with hiring nurses. And so this was sort of like an incentive. But where is it? I have no clue.
Yeah, thank you.
So do we want to vote on this or would we like to wait? Representative Lynn, did you have another comment?
I guess, if the consensus is to vote on this, I can vote on it. And probably support it. I guess I'm not completely sure that although I think that doing what we're doing here is probably the right thing. I'm not completely sure that what the governor proposed there with the student loan forgiveness is a bad idea. But I guess what I would say is I'm not so committed to the position that it is a good idea, that if everybody else on this committee thinks that we should vote to do what the amendment proposes, I'm not going to be the one that holds out.
Any other comments? Okay, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Oh, thank you.
Whoever.
0906.
I'll second.
Thank you. Representative Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. And was that Representative Porter that second?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Yes, Representative Petrie.
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison.
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray.
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott.
Turcott votes yes.
Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
The vote of 7-0 in the affirmative.
And let me just say that if the Senate feels strongly about paying off student loans, they can put something back in. So that's,
Sure.
we're not the last bite of the apple, so to speak. Okay, let's go on, Mickey. We're making some progress here.
Sure. So the next amendment, now we're getting into new sections. So these would not be amendments that replace anything in House Bill 2. Those would just be brand new sections to the bill. The first one is Amendment 0852H, proposed by Representative Umberger, that would essentially lift administration of the dual and concurrent enrollment program from the Department of Education and just put everything with the community college system of New Hampshire. So this amendment makes no dollar changes in any way. It just, rather than the money being appropriated and flowing from DOE to CCSNH, the program would just be administered entirely by CCSNH.
We really haven't discussed this one before, so I would ask that you take a look at it. And if you remember, DOE had zeroed out this line and said that they didn't think they should be the administrator of it. We reached out to the community college and they said they had no problem, and they provided some language for us. And hopefully we'll be able to put some money into this program. So, but I think we I think we need to think about this a little bit more than, although I guess, Mickey, we could in fact approve this switch without any money assigned to it, correct?
Correct. So we have two separate House Bill 2 amendments right now. One that does what we discussed, just lifting the administration. And then the next amendment from Representative Heath would appropriate $1.5 million a year for this program. So they are two separate decisions for the committee.
Representative Porter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it does make sense to do this if DOE doesn't want it. But we can do this in two separate amendments. We don't need to have it all in one. So if we worked on this today, we could work on the other one tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Murray?
Thank you. In the second amendment, when it says that, the 1.5 million for funding the dual, does funding include, money for the students, but also for the administration of the program? When that one came in, I don't know if we were clear that it was also administrative costs as well.
That's a good question. I mean, there's nothing in here either prohibiting or allowing for administration. I do not believe, I'd have to double check. I don't think the department cuts any admin. I don't want to actually speak. I'm not sure of that. So if you want to craft this appropriation to be specific to allow for administrative costs to be deducted, or that it be 100% for paying for the courses, I think we could maybe tweak the amendment to do whatever you desire on that.
It seems they might require some administrative support, so they might like that flexibility, similar to what we did with Department of Safety and the administration for the body cam for the municipalities.
Okay, so do we want to vote on moving the program from DOE to community college today, or do we want to wait on that?
For me, I'm okay making the move, but I'd like to check with Heath about if we need to have language for administration.
I
Does that
won't.
make sense?
Yeah. We won't do this. We won't do this one here. We'll just do the other one.
All right, thank you.
That's amendment 08528.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second,
Thank you. Did you get that, Representative Lynn?
I did, yes. All right, so moved by Petrie, seconded by Lynn. Representative Petrie,
Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter,
Yes,
Representative Ellison,
Yes.
Representative Murray,
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott,
Representative Turcott votes yes.
and Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
It's a vote of 7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you. So Mickey, we're on a roll. You got something else for us?
We are, so we'll skip over 0893H and we can decide whether that amendment should be modified for another work session. So the next amendment would be one that Representative Weiler asked to be drafted and for Division 2 to consider relative to school planning committee vacancies, and that's 0782H. I am not your subject matter expert when it comes to local school boards or cooperative school boards. I can point you to the changes proposed on line 14 on the amendment. And then 27 are the two changes. Just, I'll let the committee read through those, and I can't really answer a whole lot for you here.
Representative Porter?
thank you, Madam Chair. Sitting as I have for many years on the Municipal and County Government Committee, I really need to read over this. This is a change that I want to know more about, so and get some opinions on, to be honest. It sounds like something that should have a hearing, and I don't feel comfortable voting on it without some public input.
as I understand it, this was in HB2 2 years ago. And with all of the stuff that happened during that budget cycle, this amendment somehow or other got dropped out. And this is dealing with cooperative area school districts. And so, yes, I have no problem, just kind of passing over this. But I would ask that the folks that are going to be here tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Wednesday, that we take a good look at this. And I will talk to Representative Weiler and see if he can be on the call for a few minutes to describe this amendment. Representative Turcott, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to echo what Representative Porter said. I would like to know a little bit more and maybe just an example of what they're trying to do, because I too do not understand. I don't understand any of this, so that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so we will, Mickey, you're not supposed to be picking out the tough ones, okay? Let's, I will, I'll speak to Representative Weiler and have him available. Anyhow, one day this week. What's next?
So the next one, we briefly touched on it before, the Representative Heath's amendment to fund the IRC, the Innovation Research Center. So we probably want to skip that one for now, for a day when we get into the, the money decisions.
I agree.
The next amendment, 0845H, we've discussed this at a previous work session relative to the Department of Transportation. If lapse estimates are met at the end of this year, amounts that they lapse above their portion of the lapse, they get to keep to buy equipment. That's amendment 0845H.
I'd like to hold off on this one, please.
Okay. The last two amendments that I have for us today are relative to retained bills that we've got in Division 2. The first, this is actually going back to the first public hearing we had, I think back in February, on the charter school lease aid cap. Currently, it's a $30,000 per school per year cap. I believe this amendment lifts it to 50 in accordance with House Bill 521 that passed the House and was referred to Finance. This bill does not result in any impact to state spending. It just allows for the cap to be up to 50% for a reimbursement. There's $500,000 a year for this program in the budget, and it is prorated depending on the appropriation available. So in all likelihood, $500,000 will be spent to this program each year. This bill here, this amendment rather, just kind of reallocates how much can go to each school when the proration is applied.
Do we want to do something with this today, or would you prefer to wait?
I guess I would prefer to wait.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Mickey.
The last amendment is amendment number 091H 8, which is relative to a section that's in House Bill 594 that we had a work session on, I believe last week, relative to school building aid. This doesn't take all of the bill and put it into House Bill 2. It carves out the 10-year plan that was discussed, if you recall. So rather than that portion, staying in the retained bill to be worked on later, this would at least move this policy of the House forward. If you recall, this bill has already gone to education and passed the full House and was referred to Finance.
Anyone have any thoughts on this?
So there's not a money amount tied to this. This is just basically including the policy that came out of education.
Correct. Yeah, this bill also had the changing the $50 million cap on school building aid to a floor. That would have had a cost to it. This section is just the non-direct budget impact for the development of the 10-year plan for school building aid projects.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Is there anyone that has a problem voting on this today? Representative Ellison?
I don't have a problem at all, but I would just reinforce that it went through education and there was no, there are no issues there. And we need a 10-year plan for this anyway.
Okay, obviously I don't disagree with that. So could I have a motion, please, on amendment 0918?
Motion to approve amendment 0918H.
Second for Murray.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Lynn, when you're ready, you can call the roll.
Thank you. Representative Petrie.
Representative Petrie votes yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Porter.
Porter votes yes.
Representative Ellison.
Ellison votes yes.
Representative Murray.
Murray votes yes.
Representative Turcott.
Turcott votes yes.
And Representative Umberger.
Representative Umberger votes yes.
All right, 7-0 vote in the affirmative.
Thank you all very much. So what's next, Mickey?
That's all I've got for us today, and I feel like we had a productive day.
Okay, does anyone have anything else that we need to talk about today?
Can I just ask, Madam Chair, I assume, since I hadn't heard from you, that you did find somebody to substitute for me tomorrow or not?
I don't have a name right now, but I should have somebody.
All right, thank you. And I'm sorry for this. Things got pretty screwed up, I'll tell you. But anyway.
Oh, I will make sure that we have a sub for you tomorrow.
Right.
And
Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Okay, and Representative Murray, I understand Representative Lay is, that was ice falling off my house. Sorry. Representative Lay is going to be in tomorrow.
That's my understanding.
Okay,
So, and
Thank
I
you.
guess that's substituting again for Representative Porter, who can't be here tomorrow.
But that's Wednesday, not tomorrow. I can't
Oh.
be here Wednesday.
So are you
20
here tomorrow?
I'm here tomorrow.
And Mary's here
Mon-
tomorrow.
Today's Monday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
think-
can't be here Wednesday, but I will be here tomorrow.
So I think Mary's here tomorrow too. So I think we're all here. Wednesday is the next sub day.
oh, okay, fine. Thank you. I can't keep track of me, much less 7 other people, so.
I appear to be the same way. So we need a
Yeah.
SIM card. Yeah.
So to make the confusion worse for us, we haven't been able to keep track of days. We got a calendar for this year and we got it through the internet. When we found out it was a European calendar and the week started on Monday. So we were looking at this calendar. We were always off by a day because we were looking at the European week. So I understand, Madam Chair.
Okay, Representative Ellison, you have a question?
Just a comment. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for including me in this meeting. I've enjoyed this work with all of you.
Well, thank you. So 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's been a pleasure working with everyone today. And so we're doing very well. I know that we have chosen to hold off on some of the more contentious issues, but we'll get through this, okay? All of us together. So we'll keep smiling, and I'll see everyone at, well, no, I won't. I'll see whoever's here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, okay? Please take care and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.